Donald Cerrone has officially entered the testing pool and says that he will be targeting a mid-2025 return. He's had 48 fights, I believe, in total. He wants to get to 50. He wants to have 2 more fights. And the reason there's an interesting discussion here is because obviously he was quite vocal and quite open about leaving mixed martial arts, coming out of the testing pool, getting on testosterone replacement therapy and, a bunch of other good stuff. And he was like,
he was advertising it.
He's like, I feel great. I look gigantic. I'm going to be a movie star. And now he's coming back to the UFC. Thoughts?
Donald was a massive pivotal part of my UFC career and kind of getting me to where I was. And I would tell him this too. At what cost, man, to get to 50 for what? You've got 48 fights. I don't know if it's worth it for your health to come back. Who are you going to fight? Do you want wins? Because you're not getting them, against any of the top guys right now after that long of a time off.
Well, he said it's going to be at 185 more than likely as well. Maybe 170.
That worries me more.
Likely.
That worries me even more because, really, obviously he's past 40. I think he's 41 or 42. He was just a little bit older than me. And he's not a 185er, you know what I mean? Like he got to 185 because of the things that he was doing post-career, which is fine. He wasn't in the testing pool. He wasn't fighting anymore. But then when you come back, I think we got to really see how he's going to feel, let's say this spring when he's been passing all the tests and off of any kind of performance enhancers for so long. Because I don't think it'd be at 185 after you really start to train. You really start to do things the way you're supposed to.
That's the interesting thing because, of course, you step away from the sport as fighters. We all love to compete. You're always kind of still flirting with the idea. If my neck got better, I'll be like, I'll do a boxing exhibition bout in Mumbai for $250 million. Let's go. I'm all about it. But so you're feeling good. And obviously he's on the extra stuff so that all the injuries go away. Recovery's fantastic. You're training well. And you're like, of course, the money is always nice and the attention and having a purpose. Yeah. Because that's kind of one of the things that all fighters struggle with. When you retire, it's not just the money, but it's stepping away. This is what you do. This is who you are. This is what we were put on this planet to do. And then all of a sudden, you can't do it. And I know he's done some movie stuff, but as we know, that's real hard work to find consistently. So he's like, you know what? I'll come back. I'll do a couple of fights. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And I just hope that he, if it does go through, that he's fully committed to doing it right and training properly and feeling good. And I hope he doesn't just do it because Donald was always injured when I was training with him and he was just tough as shit. He didn't care. He'd show up he was that guy. Doesn't matter. He's showing up. So if things do go south and things are hurt, I hope he makes the right call.
If I had to pick him one person to come back, I've mashed the top button, by the way. I thought I'm looking very sloppy next to you. I apologize. It's New Year's Eve, guys. It's not, but it is tomorrow. The one person, there it is, there's Nate. The one person, the one matchup that I think most people would sign off on is if he's even still not retired, it would be a rematch with Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. But that would have to be at least at 70, right?
Yeah, but last time Ferguson was 170 against Chiesa.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That could make sense. And that's a guy like, all right, you lost to him years ago. Tony's been on a really rough skid, really, really rough skid for a long time. It's really two guys that the UFC doesn't really even want to be fighting. So what better way to get them both their fights on their contracts than to give them that? And that's the other thing. I was talking to somebody about it and they're like, well, what is the UFC? Do they want him to do it? I'm like, even if they don't want him to do it and he has contracts he still has fights under his contract, they can either give him the fights or they have to release him and he can go fight somewhere else. So that's where it's, and I know Donald doesn't want to do that either. He wants them to be under Zuffa. He wants them to be 50 fights in the organization, but they kind of are in a tough place. Dana's been vocal about it, that he doesn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
But he can say that, but again, they'll probably honor it if he's passing tests and really wants to do it. Because if he's got a contract, they'll honor it.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up because Dana was asked about it recently and he said, listen, we're not really interested in that. We like Donald. He's been great for the company. If he wants to make money, if that's what he's looking for, then maybe we can sit down and try and help him out and find some paths forward for him and stuff like that. But obviously, Donald's obviously put his opinion forward and said, no, I really, really want to do this. It's important to me. So listen, I respect that of Cerrone for sure. Everybody loves and remembers Donald Cerrone. Some of the fights that he gave us were and the performances were unreal. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
But it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, man. He was my favorite fighter, and then I got to meet him at a seminar, and that's how I started training with him. I got to spar with him at a seminar in Philly. Got to know him and Leonard Garcia. They invited me out to when it was the Tap Out Ranch back in the day, living in bunk beds with a bunch of other random fighter dudes that just wanted to go to that camp. And then when he started doing the BMF ranch, I was there when we built the cage. We put the mats in. We put the frames for the wall mats. Like, I was there for all that stuff. And I even texted him when the rumors started coming out that he was saying that he wanted to come back. I was like, are you really doing this? He's like, you want to go old school and get like the group back together for a little BMF ranch? So
you said that?
Do it, we both talked about it. So I mean, if he really does do it, there's definitely a chance. I would love to go out there for a week to the old ranch where I'd stayed so many times and just train with him a little bit, just for fun. And we're smarter now. We won't beat the crap out of each other like we did back then.
Can you get him on the podcast?
Oh, I could hit him up for sure.
Hit him up. Let's get him on. Now, the problem is YouTube. You got to be careful. Donald is very
watch for Cowboy. He doesn't hold back too well.
And that's what I love about him. I was sitting at a bar in Vegas, me and my wife, and he came over, and he'd had a few. You know what I mean? But we've all been like that in Vegas, so there's no judgment. And he was like, he was giving his opinions on stuff. I'm like, okay, right, boom, let's get out of here. Hey, listen, all the best, whatever he does. If he comes back, I just hope they throw him in there with someone like, I say throw him in, that sounds bad. Someone at the end of their career.
Yeah, somebody that makes sense. That's in the similar situation, like you're talking about, end of career, or just a fight that he never got to have, or a rematch that he'd like again. Something fun. It's still a fist fight. It's still MMA. It's dangerous. We know that no matter what. But you're right. If you're going to come back after a long layoff and you just want to get those two fights, let's give the fans something that is going to excite them and is not going to just throw Cowboy in there against some young, hungry up-and-comer. It's like that. That's not why he's doing it. He wants to get those 50 fights. And
Paddy Pittman,
I don't know if it's a good idea, but I would support him in his decision. And I would like to go do a little training camp with him if it ever happens.
Good. I would love to do that. All right, today's episode is sponsored by Orgain. Now, Orgain, they are protein shakes in a nice little convenient bottle. You've probably seen me sipping on it throughout this episode. Orgain believe in real nutrition that has the power to make a real difference to people's lives. That's why their products are handcrafted with high-quality ingredients. These things taste fantastic. This is the chocolate one that I've been drinking. It comes in a variety of flavors, and I'm telling you right now, number one, they taste great. A lot of protein shakes, you taste it and it tastes a little metallic. It can taste a little bit weird or off. And that is why, again, today's sponsor, Orgain, I recommend this very much. Head to orgain.com/believe and use the code BELIEVE for 30% off your order. That is the best offer that you are going to find, but you have to use the code BELIEVE to get 30% off.